What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate-based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back to a brand new episode, and we are in person. High five it.
Yeezer.
We are back in person. Dude, it's almost been over a year.
It's been over a year.
Since the live pod from WrestleMania.
Yeah, what was that, the first weekend in April of 2024?
Yes.
So we're 13 months removed?
Yes, it's been a long time, much needed, so this is awesome. And if you guys watched our last episode, we broke down our top favorite Limp Bizkit songs because we went to the M72 concert this past weekend, and we have everything to talk about in this episode. But before we get into the business, we want to get this all out of the way. If you guys are here for the first time, welcome. And all our OGs, thank you all for sticking around. We love you guys. Make sure you guys are subscribing to us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and make sure you're hitting that bell right here on YouTube for our weekly uploads here on Fridays at 9 a.m. You can catch us all at the handle of One Set Pod. And Jim, tell everybody where they can see us in and out of our episodes.
That would be the Facebook group One Set Fam. That is the number One Set Fam. That's where we have the majority of our interaction with our fan base, really. I keep talking about WrestleMania season because we have a lot of wrestling fans. We do talk a lot of wrestling when the wrestling is good and when it's WrestleMania season especially.
Yeah.
But coming into the summer, we got all the summer stuff to talk about.
Definitely.
And we got all this concert stuff to unfold.
I mean, the beginning of summer was literally this weekend.
Yeah,
so
the unofficial start of summer
unofficial
is Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
I guess I can wear all my white tops now, my white sneaks.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I don't wear that
Whoopsie.
like ever.
No, I can't even remember where I wear white anywhere. I'm clumsy. So
I got these white pair of sneaks to wear. Mike and I actually jumped out on stage 2 years ago. I think it was two summers ago in the beat show, and all the kids were wearing khaki pants, white tops, and white sneaks, and I was like, I don't have any friggin' white sneakers. I don't wear white sneakers. They're just going to get scuffed up so easy.
yeah, and I have, mostly like dark, she's like black or something, but even these, like, I was kind of even skeptical about going clear with my Crocs. Crocky Crocs, because then after like having these for, I think I've had these for about a year, and you can tell they've either been scuffed up a lot, but especially for like shoe wise, like I rarely buy. I think the last time I bought a pair of white shoes was probably like a pair of Air Forces, like the low top Air Forces.
Yep.
So, and even then I was like very like anal about if they got scuffed up, like rubbing them after school and making sure that they keep as clean as possible.
Stay fresh, right?
So you buying like the shoe cleaner and like once or twice a month, just trying to keep them as clean as possible. Because I mean, at least just like anything, especially with like cars, like if they're dark, it doesn't really show dirt or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I just black on black on black, just plain black sneaks. Like they're just they go with just about everything.
Absolutely. And that's half the reason why I buy, black dress shoes. And I mean, I bought a pair of like brown ones just to go with my like blue, like suit
Slacks.
that I have.
Yeah.
So, because I've always seen, like the attire, like going to the conferences I used to go to, other than like the traditional like black blazer and black pants and white button down and stuff.
Navy and brown's a good color combo.
Yeah, and then I've seen like the navy and white, and so I've always seen like people. Okay, but they usually don't wear black shoes. They're just like usually like brown. So I'm like, you got to coordinate with those.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Got to have some fashionista pizzazz to
a little
you.
pizzazz. Yeah.
Dude, the concert.
Oh my god, man. Yeah, so this was my first time in a while. The last time I saw Metallica was when they released their Death Magnetic album, and I think since then this is their second album since then, the M72 album. And again, I should have realized M72. I think the 72 seasons obviously links up with how long they've been in the industry and being a band. Like 72 seasons, I'll have to like fact check that, but
So-
being like 44 years, 72 seasons.
So they formed.
Probably
They
reasons
formed in 1981. So they are 44 years in. So I don't know how the season works out. Like if they had a couple years where they consider like, okay, they did one season January to June, and then the other season July to December. Like if they had a 2 for a year,
Yeah.
handful of times. But I was going for Limp Bizkit specifically. Like you got the tickets because we said we were going to see Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
And so they performed Friday night, and then Metallica came on after. As we've mentioned before, if this is your first time tuning in, I wasn't the hugest Metallica fan. So I didn't know a good amount of their songs on Friday night, but then when they went Sunday, I knew most of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. I became like a legit Metallica fan after that Sunday night
Just like
performance.
James always has been saying a lot in like the last couple years, like if you're here, you are now part of the Metallica family.
Yeah.
So, I was stoked to see like Sunday night that you got into a lot more of the songs because, and we'll go through a little bit of the set list, and it was cool to see that you had a lot more of the songs on night 2, because night 1, maybe like 1 or 2 that you knew, maybe 3.
I knew the last 3. I knew the last 3 of them, and hold on, I got that set list here.
Mm-hmm.
So out of the 16 songs that they played on, okay, I've heard "Holier Than Thou," which was the third song they played, and then number 11 was "Nothing Else Matters." I knew that one,
Yes.
for sure.
That's definitely a one that everybody knows, especially if you're not like a full like Metallica-esque fan. Nothing Else Matters and Master of Puppets and Enter Sandman are mostly like the songs that you would think of for them.
Yeah.
And probably one.
Yeah, "Nothing Else Matters." The vocals aren't aggressive. We get a good. I guess towards the end we get a little bit like we get a little build to heavier, but it's not.
It went down and then pumped up for those last 3 songs for sure for each, because I definitely noticed, and even Jen was telling me Sunday night, she's like, obviously that they didn't play the same songs, but she's like, did they kind of have like the same flow? I was like, yeah, it seems like the set list was flowing the same way. They started off with like 3 of their traditional songs, set break to change the drum set. Then they went into M72 songs. I think they played like 3 of them each, 2 or 3 of them. Then they did a couple other traditionals, set break, and then they went into like a jam, maybe 1 or 2, set break. Then they went into a ballad, and then the last 3 were just like go 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 go. So it was almost like the same format both nights, but they changed each song, and they definitely were. Every song fit really well into their set list.
Yeah, so The Unforgiven was in the 11 spot on Sunday, which
Yeah.
is where Nothing Else Matters was on
Exactly.
Friday. So it kind of fits the same mold. They've been doing this for so long. They know what works. Like
Yes.
I'm sure they've tested every single way the roller coaster rides, and they're like,
Yeah.
this is the formula, and we're
This is where we
sticking
can
to it.
pace this one. This is where we can, cool people down, and we know, okay, these last three are just going to be rough and tough. Because, yeah, I thought the flow of the show was really good. I mean, you got, night one. I felt, out of the two nights, I definitely felt night two was way better. But I felt night one, you got more. Even though they played only maybe two or three, but they didn't have a lot of like bangers that like everybody was like, yeah, I remember that one.
They were saving it for Sunday.
Yeah, so like you said, Holier Than Thou, that's one of Little Ant's favorites. So I taped that and I showed it to him Saturday night, and he like marked out for it. He was stoked. They didn't play the one that he wanted to hear, which I told him it's gonna be a big if they do that one, because they rarely play that one. But it's called Of Wolf and Man.
Oh yeah.
Off the Black Album. So I was gonna be very surprised if they played that. But maybe after we talk Limp Bizkit, I'll talk about the songs that like I was really like wowed about. But
Yeah, well,
let's go into
through the
Limp Bizkit.
So I will say, and maybe I should be saving this for after we go through song by song, but I feel like the entire time I was just in awe that like they were still doing the thing. And probably because like for Metallica, I know that they've been like actively working.
Right. Minus the fact that they were away for about 10 to 12 years not doing anything when, they were all in like rehab and getting themselves like fixed and everything.
Sure. I mean, Limp Bizkit was like, they did Chocolate Starfish and Results May Vary, and then it was like 18, 19 years until they had anything new. Like they were gone for a minute.
Yeah, they had a little hiatus too. So, like I said, I saw Limp Bizkit twice before this, but it was like very short, like a lot more shorter sets. So this was the first time I saw them that they played just about an hour.
Yeah, it was close.
So they were hovering at that hour mark. But even then, we dealt with the rain with them, which, I knew it wasn't going to ruin their set because a lot of that stuff is set up where they can still play in the rain. But unfortunately, DJ Lethal's computer just went crap.
Yeah. So the number 7 track in the lineup was audience request. So I think they took the audience request because DJ Lethal's soundboard just went because it was raining so hard.
Yeah, because they were about to play. It seemed like they were about to play 1999. I think they started playing the lick, and then I think they realized. And I'll have to remember, but I think it probably has a little bit more Lethal stuff in there, and they knew they couldn't play it.
Yeah.
So I think Fred at that point, because I heard Fred say, "Hey, stop." So they stopped, and then they started playing My Generation. So
Which is crazy because it also has DJ Lethal in My Generation, which we talked about last week.
So he could have probably went to a backing track with it maybe and saved it.
Probably.
I would like to think that even though he has like a DJ booth and a computer, he has some way of, if something goes wrong, he has a backup way of like putting on a backing track.
I mean, why not?
I mean, even he was saying like, well, at least we have a band. It's not like that you really need me to be up here.
It's not like you're at a DJ.
He's not the
concert.
focal point of the whole band. He's just adding the little sauce to it.
Sure.
But yeah, it sucked, but it didn't ruin the set or anything.
No.
And Wes Borland coming out in like the whole mohawk and skull thing, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Fred being Fred, dude, I'll let you talk about Fred because you were the first to just say, dude, he is on.
Dude, okay. So they open with My Way. I didn't think they were necessarily going to play My Way because it is one of their like more chilled out songs.
Yeah, I was surprised for an opener for that.
For an opener, I didn't think that they were going to go in with I feel like My Way fits better in the middle of a set.
Yeah.
As like a cool off moment. But maybe for Fred, it was like a good warm up for him.
Right.
So then they go into Nookie second.
Yeah, which I was very surprised because we thought Nookie was going to be like probably one of their last two.
Well, yeah, because Nookie's in our top two from last week.
Mm-hmm.
They go into rolling third. I know I'm plowing, but it's going to get to the point that I want to make. Rolling third, fun. Break stuff fourth. So I thought break stuff would have been closer to the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when it started raining.
Well, it says break stuff is number 4 and number 10.
They did it twice.
Okay.
So I remember, I'm like, okay, maybe they just did it twice since the rain kind of messed up a little bit of like the flow of it. And I think like how he was saying, like I think they were just doing a little bit of request at the end. So they probably heard, hey, just do break stuff again because the rain kind of screwed the vibe up with it.
Sure.
So they were like, dude, whatever. We're going to rock out and just do break stuff one more time.
Yeah, I thought it was like an error in the list online that I'm looking at, and then I was like, no, they did play it twice.
They did play it twice. Yeah, because when they played the first time, like I started getting like, the rain speckles. I'm like, it's about to rain, and then it just came down.
Yeah, I think I said a few times, like, if it had rained any longer, it would have overstayed its welcome.
It would have been annoying.
I think that it rained enough, and then it stopped, and it was like, all right, if we're good for the rest of the night, then it's fine. We're fine. We're not like, we're not going to be drenched for the next 2.5, 3 hours.
Right.
Jeans, though, I mean, they were soaked, but
yeah, that was the only like downfall of going through the rest of the night. I mean, they weren't drenched to the point where it was just like, I wish I would have had another set of pants here.
Yeah, it didn't ruin the experience overall, right?
No,
like that.
I mean, by the time the concert was done, they were kind of just still a little damp, but to the point where you can walk around and not feel like you were like squishing, like going through the through the concert.
That was good.
So it wasn't too bad.
I can't even. I wanted to try to replicate that. I was like, just stop. Just leave it in. So they played break stuff fourth, and then Fred was like, we want to go a little harder if that's okay with y'all. And I was like, I mean, how much harder does it get them break stuff? And then they go into hot dog. I was like, okay, I definitely didn't expect them to play this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like an audible pull because of the rain.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say got through that and then went into Eat You Alive. And I was like, Fred is still handling these aggressive vocal tracks pretty well for his age.
I think that song was when we were both saying to ourselves, like, especially you at first, like, dude, like his scream, like he's been okay with like his singing voice, but his like screaming aggressive vocals have not changed. Like he was on that night with hitting those like Eat You Alive like at the last like screaming parts. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I will say like he's not like throwing his whole body and soul into it. Like he's definitely just focusing on the vocals getting it done. And but I was like, for 54 years old, he's still doing it, man. It's just like,
yeah, it's good. Like if anything, I would definitely see Limp Bizkit again, and the same thing that I felt about. It's a difference between how I felt about Pantera though. Pantera was good, and we'll maybe scratch on them a little bit later. But I felt Pantera was good, but I would only see them again if they were with another band that I would want to see.
Yeah,
because I think Pantera did what they needed to do, and I wish obviously I would have seen Pantera back when Dimebag was alive and Vinny were alive, but. I wasn't to the point where I'm like, I gotta see these guys again and again and again. Like if they like come around again with Metallica or a Limp Bizkit,
you're not gonna cry about it.
I will definitely see because I want to see Limp Bizkit or Metallica. But if Pantera is the main band and there's no other supportive bands that I want to see, I'll be like, I can miss it. Yeah. I saw them once, I'm good.
You're good.
So
got that walk track, which I mean,
yep.
That was all we were waiting for. They played it last, and it was like...
We got a little bit of Cemetery Gates, which was like the tribute to Dimebag and Vinny. They had that all on the screen, which was nice. They played the first like minute of Cemetery Gates for that, and then we got
Cowboys from Hell. Second to last.
Yeah, so that was good. That was good.
They were both good.
I don't know why I totally forgot about Cowboys from Hell.
Me too.
So
I think Pantera and
I think
Walk
when I meant Cemetery Gates, I meant Cowboys from Hell.
Okay. That makes sense.
But either way, both of them are really good tracks. So like Walk, Cemetery Gates, and Cowboys from Hell. And then they played another couple ones that were like off like the Vulgar for Power albums. And, I'm Broken. They played a couple other ones that were like ones that I had off like the Greatest Hits album. So, I mean, for me, for going to see them, they played most of the stuff that I wanted to hear. There was maybe one or two that I'm like, that must have been like a real deep cut song that they had. But a lot of the songs that I'm like, okay, cool, they played this one. I know this one. I know this one.
Yeah.
So for a set, they did really good.
The openers, and then we'll get back to the rest of the.
Yeah.
I think Ice Nine Kills had the better overall package, and I only say that because the lead from Suicidal Tendencies, I think the three of us were distracted by him just spazzing out.
Yeah.
and the vocals weren't real legible. Like, I think Ice Nine Kills, like, you could definitely hear the vocals better.
Suicidal Tendencies were definitely like the old school punk rock that you heard like that 80s, early 90s, like punk rock, thrashy punk rock type of style. So for what they were, I know we have a mutual friend that's pretty big into Suicidal Tendencies. So I'm sure if we were to like had his opinion, he would definitely give us like a thumbs up that they did really well. It's not my style of metal that I usually listen to, but I thought like the first couple were like a little meh, but then as the set went on, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can kind of get into this a little bit when they started getting more thrashier and like fast paced. But they were good.
They probably knew like people are still filing into the stadium for the first two, so just like get our feet wet.
But I would say Ice Nine Kills is probably more of my style. If I were to like go see an opener, that would be not necessarily the theatrics of their show, but the style of music would definitely be something I would be more into seeing more than like the faster punk rock metal type of thing that Suicidal Tendencies was. But both openers did really well. And I think they, for putting where they were for Friday and Saturday, they were put on the right nights.
Yeah.
Because I think Ice Nine Kills was good
going into Limp
Bizkit and Metallica, where Suicidal Tendencies was good with Pantera and Metallica because, like Phil had mentioned in their set, Suicidal Tendencies brought them out on their first tour back in the 80s. So they had a back history with them. So it kind of all flowed everything with them, which was pretty cool.
That is neat. Fred, I was in awe by Fred. Like still hanging. Because like I figured West and Sam Otto were going to be fine. And Lethal, he was going to be good. I was the most like curious to see if Fred was going to hang with the vocals, and he did.
He definitely did. Like I told you that night, like I think this was the best Fred I've seen,
which is crazy.
Out of the now 3 times that I've seen them, this was the best I've seen Fred.
And what years did you see them before this?
I can't remember the years.
College, after college.
It was one was probably right after college, and the other was maybe 2017, 2018.
So you're talking like 2010, 11, 12, and then like 5 years after that, something like that.
I think it was when Limp Bizkit was just coming back into the ether of the industry, so maybe about like 5 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, it's 2025. So yeah, I think it's been about 10 years since they've kind of like started making records again and stuff. So they did like a very short, because they were playing with Trapped at the TLC.
Okay.
So they opened for Trap, or Trap opened for them, one or the other thing. And Limp Bizkit played like a quick 30, 45-minute set. And like I told you, they didn't play most of their bangers. They played maybe one or two of them, but they were claiming that like, yeah, this is a shorter set for us, but we're going to be back and we're going to be playing for like 2 hours.
Okay.
I never got to,
see for
that
2 hours.
I never got to see that tour or whatever they went and came back for. So then I was at a festival at what once was the Susquehanna Bank Center, and they played on the festival, and they maybe played for about a 45-minute set.
Okay.
So, and there they played a couple more of them, but I felt still this weekend they played much more of the songs that I was more happy with. Like this was probably the most funnest set and the best Fred that I've seen.
So they were probably pushing more of their current stuff at the time when you had last seen them.
Probably,
and
yeah.
now they're like, I mean, we're not like headlining. We're just like the featured
Exactly.
before Metallica.
So we can just play
we
our
might as well hit our
OG
bangers.
stuff and
Yeah.
just, banger after banger after banger after banger.
Yep. So they went from Eat You Alive at 6. They went into My Generation, which was the audience request.
Turned it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it went into, they did a snippet of Living It Up.
That was it. Living It Up. They did a snippet of Living It Up, and we were about to be like, oh my God, they're actually gonna play that.
Yeah, we were literally like, dude, they're playing all of them. Well, they're playing literally almost all of them. And then
I think that's when I heard Fred say, "Hey, hold up, stop," and then they played this one.
Yeah.
Then they went into the take a look around, dun, 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 and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, you
I
are
heard-
getting all your stuff tonight.
I heard them kind of tease it,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, they're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's happening.
I was stoked for you because I know that's one of your favorites. And once I heard Wes kind of start like messing with that riff, I'm like, he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then he full on went on. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, I can't believe they played that track. And I was like, wait a second, the new Mission Impossible movie just came out. And that song's from Mission Impossible 2, which is crazy because I think they're on the 8th installment. I mean, they're not releasing as quick as, say, the Fast and Furious franchise movies did.
Yeah.
But I would just have to guess that that's why they threw that in there, because the new Mission Impossible movie came out.
And, I was just thinking when you're saying that of like, they probably did this song because of this. They probably opened with My Way because, I mean, of WWE and with The Rock and Austin. That wasn't the one they were in Philly, though, right?
I think that was for 17. But still.
Either way, I mean, that's still, like, if you're also a wrestling fan, that's one of the ones from Limp Bizkit because of that promo. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so that's definitely a iconic song for them because of that. But yeah, like their full set list, like we said, I think they hit if a little over 50% of the songs that we had in our top 10 or that we talked about last week.
Yeah, I didn't have Hot Dog in my top 10. I didn't have Eat You Alive in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But the remaining 7, because Break Stuff they did twice, but the remaining 7 were all in my top 10. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I can't believe, I was like, I hope I get like half of them.
Yeah.
I was expecting some of the newer ones.
Right.
So I definitely was happy with their set list for sure. And then,
then they played Faith, which, that was a good one. But
that was my number 3. Mm-hmm. That was my number 3.
That was one my brother was like trying to definitely get them to play. So then when they played Faith, at least that was something that he was like, okay, I got that one. I was able to hear that one because he definitely wanted to play. Then to play a little bit more off the $3 Bill Y'all album. So Faith was one of the ones that he likes. So I feel all three of us got like a good gist of what we wanted them to play.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
The only downfall, no merch.
No merch.
No merch.
Come on, man.
Freddie.
What doing, bro?
You missed out. We would have totally bought something.
We all had our wallets ready. We were like,
if you're ever watching this, bro, come on. If somebody who knows that person, who knows that guy that messes around and had a fun night with Freddie, let him know.
Yeah, give him the heads up. Like, we want the merch. We want. I mean, I was ready for a hoodie and a T-shirt. Nothing.
I would have taken a keychain at that point.
Friggin' sticker. Yeah,
Right.
Seriously.
So yeah, I was very surprised because usually, I mean, yeah, Metallica was gonna output all the merch no matter what. But even Ice Nine Kills had like 2 shirt designs, and even Suicidal Tendencies didn't have anything. So, I mean, I would have definitely thought Limp would have probably had at least maybe 1 or 2 shirts out, but they had nothing.
Just one.
Yeah, so I was, if out of anything to be disappointed about over the weekend, which, I mean, I thought the whole weekend was great, but if I had something to really complain about, that would be the only thing. And so we didn't see any Limp Bizkit merch.
And we could live without it, but it was like we were definitely going in thinking we're getting a Limp Bizkit shirt at the concert. We're going to see Limp Bizkit together. Like, come on, matching shirts, bro.
Exactly. But yeah, man, can't say more better things about that. I'm glad we finally, got that off our bucket list, and we were able to just, hopefully, since they're back in the studio, hopefully it won't take them that much longer to come back here, and maybe we can see them again. That would be cool.
I'd be down.
Let's run through these 2 nights of Metallica.
Okay, I'm gonna let you take the reins on the Friday night, just because, like I said, I only have the 4 out of the 16 that I'm really like firm on.
So, Friday night, and again, both nights they open up the same way. Ecstasy of Gold, which has been their opener for years. And anybody who's a true Metallica fan knows the song. And then they open up with Creeping Death, which I was stoked because that's usually been like one of their first songs they opened up with a lot, because it's their, I think that's off the Injustice album. I think it might be off the Injustice album. So it's like one of their fast ones, fast, thrashy, like upbeat, something to get you really off your feet. So Creeping Death is also a very awesome song for them to open up with. And if anybody, knows Metallica and they listen to the live album, it's usually been like Ecstasy of Gold, Creeping Death, Enter Sandman, like were like top 2 because it was just coming off the Injustice and the Black album. So yeah, they had a lot of, their good songs there.
So it looks like Creeping Death is off the Ride the Lightning.
Ride the Lightning. That's it.
84. So that was one of their earlier ones.
Yeah. So when Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Black Album, Black Album, Injustice for All. I'll fact check later. So after Creeping Death, they went into Harvester of Sorrow. And again, I'll be saying this every single time with a lot of these songs, but I mean, I loved pretty much everything they played. And the one that was my first one, I was like, oh, they're actually playing it, Holier Than Thou. Because
that was good.
Again, Little Anthony loves that song, so that was the first one that I just taped because I've heard the song so many times, and I've heard them play it once, so I didn't mind just taping it and not really like paying attention to them playing it. Then that was their first set break, or no, they went to King Nothing. So that was their one off of Load or Reload. So King Nothing's a great, sing along one. Then they did Set Break. Then they played 72 Seasons. And then another one off of 72 Seasons, If Darkness Had a Sun. So again, I've gone through the full 72 Seasons album maybe once or twice. So I really can't like give my 100% what I think. It's definitely not. It's enough to say like this is a Metallica album for what they're writing now.
So you haven't dissected those songs like we were talking about dissecting music last week. You were just giving it a listen to get the overall feel of everything.
I haven't fully dissected it yet, but there were songs that popped out from it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a cool riff, or oh, that's a nice little part there. But yeah, and I think it kind of goes with their age, and you can definitely tell like they can't play a lot of their fast thrashy songs much anymore, or if not, they're waiting until it's later where they have warmed up to the point, because a lot of their older like songs on like Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, they're like very like fast and like thrashy, and I mean James can definitely keep up with it, but it's playing it for like 5-6 minutes it's a nail biter for a lot of, especially for guitar players and a drummer, but just like
I mean, James Hetfield, all 61 years old of him, and he was still crushing it. Dude.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and you got to hear Kirk just like ripping the whole time.
I just kept turning to you and being like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. So Kurt is still doing really good, and like I told you, especially with Zakk Wylde, I mean, arguably, I think you were probably seeing one of probably the top 50 greatest guitar players that's still playing right now. Zakk Wylde and Kurt is definitely in that top 50 as well.
Kurt's definitely in there.
I can't say both of them being top 10, but they're definitely within the top 50. Yeah. You know, and where they lie within that 50, I'm not going to analyze it too much right now, but you were seeing greatness for sure. And it's definitely when you're seeing that type of thing, you're just like, it makes you just pay attention to it more. So it was a cool thing to see that as well. And then we got to see Friday and Saturday night, Kirk and Rob doing their little what they call here is a doodle.
It's a little jam session.
Yeah, a little jam session.
Little jammy sesh.
It was fun because Saturday night they played a little bit of the Rocky theme. They played a little bit of
Philadelphia
Freedoms. They kind of hit some Philadelphia strides there, which is cool. I think Friday night was definitely like a organic jam type of thing, and I definitely can agree when they say like they probably they did this all like earlier today and jammed it out. I'm pretty sure they did.
They were just like, yeah, let's bullshit and just slap this together for fun.
Like, we're just gonna jam for like 3 hours, see what we come up with, and we'll like jam for 2 minutes out there and just do some of this stuff.
And it looks like some shit that they've been practicing for
because they're at the point. I mean, they're professional musicians. That's all they do. So they have the time to just really and they all play with each other 24/7. So they know each other's like cues and everything.
Yeah, they vibe off each other.
So especially when you have that type of connection with another musician, you don't really have to practice as much. You just can, look at them and you know what they're about to play, and same type of thing. So they all four of those guys are to the point where they just know their mannerisms and where they are in certain things. And then after that, I think they went into another set break, and then they played off the Death Magnetic album, The Day That Never Comes, which is another awesome, I think it's one of their best songs off that album. And then they played Cyanide, which I think that was off the following album from that. I forget the name of that. Then they played Orion, which is another instrumental, I believe, and they dedicated that to Cliff, which was their original bass player who passed away.
I do remember him doing the dedication to Cliff.
Yeah. So when and again, just explaining this to Jim, because I know some of like the older Metallica stuff you may or may not know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cliff was their original bass player who passed away when they were on tour very early in their career. They had a bus crash, and Cliff had got killed he was thrown out of the bus landed right on him. Yeah. And they had in a documentary that Kirk and Cliff were arguing, not necessarily arguing, but they were contemplating like who wants to take the certain bunk that night. And Kirk said, Cliff, just take it, whatever. And Kirk, like, to this day, he's like, that could have been me. And then, Jason comes into the band, fills Cliff, and, the three, James, Lars, and Kirk, they kind of do the hazing with Jason because they're still grieving over Cliff passing. And again, with any Metallica fan, they kind of know like how they treated Jason the whole time. And like, because Jason was kind of like a fan of Metallica, so they claimed to say that they tried to beat the fan out of him to really be like a band member. So there was a lot of hazing for Jason, but I think, other than Cliff was what he was, but when you hear Metallica, when you think Metallica, Jason was Metallica.
Okay.
Yeah, and because he was like the forefront of like a lot of their like prime years. So like when you think of Metallica, you got to think, because Jason, when he would be singing out there, like he had that aggressive, you know, vocal to him, and it was just insane. But yeah, so they dedicated Orion to Cliff, which was awesome. They try to at least definitely mention Cliff in there every once in a while. The next one, Sad But True.
Oh, you missing Nothing Else Matters.
And yeah, so they went into Nothing Else Matters. That's right. So went to their first ballad of the week. Nothing Else Matters. Then ramped it up, Sad But True. Fight Fire with Fire, which was another OG original one that they did. That's either off the Ride the Lightning or Kill 'Em All. So it's very, very old Metallica. Fuel. That was one that I know you knew, and when they first hit that, you're like, "Yeah!" I'm like,
I was like, "All right, let's go."
I was pumped for you to know that you knew that one, and that got everybody out because, like, again, they played like Orion, which was like very warm, mellow. Nothing Else Matters was warm and mellow. Sad But True bumped it up, but then once James hits that, "Give me fuel, give me fire," everybody just gets right off their seat.
Dude, they hit the trifecta for the closer with that. Like transitioning into the last three.
Yeah.
So good. Seek and Destroy.
Seek and Destroy is also one of my favorites.
I mean, can't
we used to
miss.
cover that in my old band, so that's always a fun one. And then they end with Master of Puppets for the night. So that was, I mean, anybody who's anybody loves Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
So I know, again, for my brother, he wanted to hear both Master of Puppets and Enter Sandman. I'm like, we're only going to get one of them.
You're
tonight.
getting one each night, man. They're
You're either
going to split them
You're
up.
either going to get Master or you're going to get Enter Sandman. So we got Master of Puppets to end Friday night, and again, Enter Sandman was their closer for Sunday night.
Yeah.
But so to go over what they did for Sunday night, again, same intro, and then they open up with Whiplash, which is also another one of their very fast-paced, thrashy, older songs, which is always a fun one. Then they go into For Whom the Bell Tolls. That was when you were like, "Yeah, I know this one." So I'm like, "Oh, this might be a good night for Jim."
Yeah.
Because I knew it took you a little bit to kind of find the song that you knew in Friday nights. I'm like, "All right, this is probably gonna be a better night." Then they hit Ride the Lightning.
They played The Memory Remains, and I was like,
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, he knows another one." Like,
well, I know that one especially because that was the entrance theme song for the Hell in a Cell cage at WrestleMania 27
Yeah.
for
And that's
Triple H and Undertaker.
The Memory Remains is another like load or reload album. So you must know and I think that album was around that time. So that album really was a change for the band. Like they I think it was the first time where they like cut off a lot of their long hair. They started being like more rock-ish. So they let go of like
They were transitioning into the new millennium rock look rather than the 80s, 90s
They
look.
let go of the 80s mullet, long hair, and then they changed into short hair, sunglasses, like suits and everything.
Yeah, they were riding into that new millennium look.
Yeah. So then they went to a set change. Then they played Lux Eternal. Awesome, awesome song. Then they played Screaming Suicide. I think that's off one of the newer ones too. So they, after that second set break, they were doing some M72 stuff. So I think it's good because they usually don't try to overdo it with their new albums.
Right.
They try to just, sprinkle a little bit of new stuff in there, but they know everybody wants to hear the traditional stuff.
The bangers.
So they know their fans, and they don't try to just bore them with a whole set of new stuff that they know they're not going to want to hear. Yeah. They try to just, play some of their hits off of them, and because they know if you want to see them, you're going to just listen to the album anyway, but they know everybody wants to come and hear the traditional stuff. Then we had another Kirk and Rob Doodle, and
That was the Philly.
Yeah, so I liked Sunday's jam a lot better. Then they hit Fade to Black.
Fade to Black was really good.
Fade to Black is that's one of my mom's favorites.
I had a friend that was there that was messaging me, like I didn't know they were going, and I posted my story, and they were like, "Oh, you're there."
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't think that they're going to play my favorite, which is Fade to Black. because I was looking at their set list from previous concerts and it's not on their list, and I was like, you never know, they might. And then they go into it, and I'm like, this is Fade to Black, right? And you're like, yeah. And I messaged them. I was like, boom, there it is. And then they were just geeking out. They're like, I can't believe that they played my favorite Metallica track, and it was really good. And I didn't know the song was about suicide. And James was like, I feel like after the song, like his speech was just perfect.
Yeah, I thought I remember them talking about it being about suicide, but I think it was the first time James really put a lot of emphasis and emotion behind the meaning of the song. So that definitely gives a better feel for when I hear that song now. Yeah. So that was definitely a moving part, like actually going into the last like heavy part of that song. But yeah, so they Fade to Black and Wherever I May Roam. That was another one that you're like, oh, good. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, all right, this is definitely a better set for Sunday night. We're definitely seeing the better set. They're having a lot more of their like go-tos and stuff. And usually I think a lot more people when they do these things, they're saying like night 2 is sometimes usually better.
Well, they want to go out stronger than they started. They don't want to start off strong and then the second night be like, eh.
Mm-hmm. So,
okay.
The Call of Kahlua, I think it's called. But yeah, it's another instrumental, kind of like where Orion was on Friday night. So again, like the format was like perfect. The same as each night, but just inputting different songs. Unforgiven was amazing. Yeah, you know, that's always a banger because I love how James uses the stand-up acoustic guitar, and he has his electric guitar lower than him. So when he's playing the acoustic guitar, he'll be playing the acoustic guitar verses, and then the chorus, all he does is just take his hands off the acoustic, goes right into the electric. So it's a cool concept. Yeah. And then this moment was probably the best part of the weekend for me because
you weren't expecting
this was the song I was not expecting. I could have never predicted. They played Whiskey in a Jar, and that was probably one of the funnest cover songs that I used to play with my old band.
Yeah.
So seeing them actually cover that, I was like, wow, this is cool. It's like all full circle because my old band member was actually there on Friday night. And I told him that Pantera was actually really good. And he's like, yeah, that was the show that I wanted to go to. So I had yet to tell him that they played Whiskey in a Jar.
Oh, he was there on Friday?
He was there on Friday. So he was in the lower level. But yeah, so I was stoked to hear Whiskey in the Jar. And then they went to Blacken, which was going into our last set change of the night. And I love the riff to Blacken. It's just like very like thrashy, fast paced. So it's like it's that traditional fast paced in your face Metallica. And then they went with Moth to the Flame. So that was kind of where Fuel was too, because they had the flames and everything going for that one.
Yep.
And then the last two of the night, One and Enter Sandman. One was amazing. They always go out really hard with the theatrics and the lights and everything, especially on that one part where like the whole heavy section comes in. They always go balls to the wall for that.
One was like one of my favorites. That I knew they were going to play Enter Sandman. I was just waiting for it. I was like, they're going to close Sunday night with Enter Sandman.
Yeah. I kind of figured like after one, I'm like, okay, they're either going to do Battery, then Enter Sandman, or Enter Sandman, then hopefully Battery. But when they played Enter Sandman, then we noticed they were like kind of, and I'm like, yeah, they're pretty much done, but it would be cool if they play Battery. It's the only other song that I wish they probably would have played, because that's probably definitely my top 3 favorite Metallica songs. But I'm happy again with everything they played. The whole set for both nights were amazing. I've never not had a bad Metallica show that I've been to. Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts of just seeing Metallica for the first time, seeing Limp Bizkit, and just now that you're officially part of the Metallica family?
So you had grabbed the tickets, and I was like, you're like, and then when you didn't realize it was for both nights, right?
Yeah.
I was like, in my head, like, okay, let me just find where Limp Bizkit's playing because I just want to see Limp Bizkit. Like, I'm not that big of a Metallica fan, so in my head, I was like, I could try to sell off my ticket for the other night when Limp Bizkit isn't playing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't. I'm really glad that I went Sunday because I was watching Metallica's Sunday night set and I was like, I can't help but to love these guys, and I have such an appreciation for them doing what they're doing 45 years later.
Right.
And I'm watching Lars pound away on the drums, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how does he not have tendonitis? So, like, but at the same time, they played Friday and Sunday, and I was like, okay, that must be why they have to break Saturday. Now, granted, they did have the Post Malone and Jelly Roll concert Saturday at Citizens Bank. So I'm like, they could have, but I think you were saying when you were looking up the other M72 tour dates that they were doing the day break in between kind of thing.
I think I think that's usually like their plan of what they do is like they'll have a Friday and a Sunday, or very rarely they'll have like Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Or Friday, Saturday.
I guess it just depends on the venue availability kind of
I
thing.
guess so, because they book years in advance, I'm sure. So it's more like, okay, what does your town have that week? Can we do it back to back, or do we have to do a every other day or something?
Split up type thing.
So yeah, I mean, Kirk was on. I mean, Rob being the youngest out of those three, I mean, he's still able to keep up with those guys, and James's voice was on point because I definitely think. The first couple times seeing James, like it was when they were just coming back, there were times where James was a little off and he was just finding his voice again. But I think over these last couple years, he's found his voice again and he's really starting to hit a lot of those like older, like nuance that he used to do.
I thought he was solid.
He was
good.
It
was my first time seeing him.
Yeah.
But so I didn't have anything else to go off of.
You got a really, really good weekend of Metallica.
Yeah.
And we had a great, Limp Bizkit set. Pantera was great. Everybody killed it this weekend. So,
I actually liked our seats a lot. I know,
they were good. I was a little worried at first because, especially with how the pillars were, but we got them a little bit to the side. But even if we were like kind of somewhat in front of it, it didn't hinder any of our, ability to see anything.
Yeah,
and they didn't look like ants from up there.
No, you could still see them. I will say for the last couple songs of Metallica on Sunday, they were performing on the. So, for those that are watching, the stage, it was in a football stadium, so the stage was like a circle.
Yeah, it had like a 360 stage going.
So they were moving around on the stage every few songs. So they were performing to this side of the stadium, this side of the stadium, this side. So for the last couple songs, James and most of the band was on the far side.
Yeah.
So, but they had the 8 pillars up. They had the screens up so that you could watch the screens. That was like the only thing. But I'm like, yeah, when it is that set up, everybody's going to get to see them in the closest. Everyone's going to get to see them in the furthest, and then everyone's going to get to see them on the two sides. One of my bosses was there, and she was sitting in the second row on the lower section, and she texted me like after I guess suicidal tendencies and was like, I had to get out of there. It is so loud down there. So I feel like
I was wondering how the sound was going to be down there.
Yeah. So I
figured it was going to be a little different.
Yeah.
But I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder how maybe a little bit of different of the sound is going to be done. Like if it was going to be, I didn't think maybe it would be louder, but maybe the clarity would be a little bit different. But I thought even for art's sake, like it was very clear. Like you didn't have a lot of like the stadium reverb going. Like everything sounded really clear. You can hear everything.
Yeah, we didn't have to shout at each other to say anything. Like I feel so aging ourselves a little bit, but at the same time, we were sitting in the first row of the upper section. So I'm like, okay, this is different. Like I'm sitting in my seat to watch a rock show or like a rock concert. But at the same time, I'm like, we're all the way up here. Why am I going to be on my feet? I'm turning and looking behind me. The people behind us are sitting. So I'm like, I'm not going to stand up and make the people behind us stand
It was good
up.
that we didn't have to stand the whole time.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was good.
It was also cool to be able to see the general admission people surrounding the stage and inside the snake pit. So the snake pit is was words. The stage was set up in a circle, so they had fans in the middle of the circle on the floor. And at the one point, I think it was Jason got on the platform and he was like moving throughout the snake pit.
Yeah, Rob was doing that, the bass player.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was cool.
So that was really neat to see. It was really fun to watch the circle pits going, and I was like, okay, circle pits are still happening in 2025.
Oh yeah, they're definitely still a thing. People are still pit and doing like push pits and everything at shows. It's still a thing, and it's cool to see that, you know, even though rock and metal is like not like the forefront of, you know, what it is today, there's still people that love it, and still people that love going to a good rock show. So that's fun and pretty, you know, awesome to see.
Santa was there.
Santa made a debut. Yeah.
So I saw on Instagram that he went crowd surfing. I was like,
I saw that too.
Dude, this is so great.
It was great.
Yeah, I think outside of, I guess I wasn't like screaming any of the songs because we were further away. I was like, I don't need to be screaming because we're not right at the stage.
Yeah. I didn't lose my voice, which I was really happy about, because I was thinking at the end of the week, and I was gonna have like a really like kind of not coarse, but like I was like, okay, I'm like a little bit of a lost voice, but again, you didn't have to like really like scream too much, so it was good.
Yeah, we weren't competing with the vocals of the concert. We were like, hey, this is enjoyable because we can in between songs chat each other without feeling like we can't hear each other. That's just, you know, us pushing 40.
Right.
It's not going to
it's around the corner.
Yeah,
but
it's not going to a rock concert 20 years ago. Like we're teenagers and like at Warped Tour and we're like screaming and we're like, why can't hear you? No, it was awesome. I love that Limp Bizkit was able, like Fred, his vocals specifically. I mean, they showed up, they showed out, and they played like their set list was great. And then the Sunday Metallica show, I was like I said, really glad I went, and I have a newfound appreciation for Metallica.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Because it's one thing watching and like listening to like bands like that and just listening to their CDs, but seeing live music is still a thing. It still has like the credibility of like there's nothing like going to see a good rock show. Yeah. So yeah, it was a memorable weekend. Glad we got to do it. Thank you for joining me with it. And guys, thank you all for joining us. This is our little reaction to our Memorial Day Metallica 72 Seasons World Tour show. If anybody was there in Philly this weekend, let us know and let us know how you felt. Or if you were, we got a couple of people in our last video who were saying that they had seen the 72 World Tour in other cities. So if you're watching this and you saw it from another city, comment below and see and tell us what you thought. And you know, if you're here for the first time or an OG, thank you all for joining us. My name's Anthony.
Jim Green here, and thank you so much for the hospitality. It's good to get one of these in person. I've been clamoring for it for quite some time. Anthony here has a not newborn, but as of like a year ago. So he's been navigating being a dad, second go around, part two. So
we'll definitely be getting these in a little bit more frequently now that we kind of can, you know, settle down a little bit, and now that my job's a little bit more settled in, you know, we'll definitely be doing this a lot more often, whether it's going to be here or it'll be you know, probably over at Jim's new place. We'll get a spot set up for him. So this, and
then the pool episode we're going to try to squeeze in.
We're going to get a pool episode.
We're going to get the pool episode in this summer. Yeah.
So be on the lookout for a pool episode this season for sure. So thank you guys. Make sure you guys are tuning in and following us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and subscribing. Hit that bell right here on YouTube for our weekly uploads at 9 a.m. on Fridays, all at the handle of One Set Pod. Jim, once again for the last time, let them know where they can hit us up in and out around the episodes.
So that's the Facebook group One Set Fam. That's the number One Set Fam. Anth, love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Make sure you guys join. We'll see you on the next one. This has been One Set.